Welcome, everybody, to episode number 120 of the Couple Nurses podcast with Matt and myself, Peter. Thank you guys for all your support. Thank you for all the subs on YouTube. We have over 1,000 now, and if you guys don't know, we're on YouTube. Well, guess what? I just told you. And thank you for all the comments, all the likes on all platforms, all the comments we've received on Spotify and all those audio platforms as well. And don't forget to check out couplenurses.com. We got a bunch of cool stuff on there. We got all our episodes there, a bunch of blog posts, all our vlogs, and just a bunch of merch as well. It's coming out slowly. And frontlinewarriors.com is getting built out as well. So if you want to check out how that's progressing, check that out. And then stop by the shop afterwards. What's up, Matt?
Exactly. Thank you for that beautiful intro. I am hanging out. I'm excited to talk about today's episode. We're going to talk about the 5 habits to incorporate into your life. And these 5 habits could be both in and out of work, and they're going to be known, beneficial to change your life. So when it comes to developing habits, I think the first thing we have to figure out is self-reflection. We need to be able to understand ourselves. We need to become self-aware. We need to understand the habits that we're doing. Because how do you know if the habit's good or bad if you're not aware of it?
Yep, and that's beautifully folds to point number 1, which is create a schedule. So if you're trying to figure out how to make a schedule, you have to first understand what kind of person you are. How do you usually start your mornings? Do you wake up in a rush and then already run through the door because you woke up late each time? Or are you a person that wakes up, takes their time, wakes up at a decent time, 8, 9 o'clock, and then you're kind of hanging out for like an hour, slow pace? So what kind of person are you? That's how you should plan your schedule. Because if you're one of those that's always rushing, maybe you have to probably plan a way to go to bed sooner. And if you're one of those that takes your time, you're probably doing fairly well with scheduling. It's going to reflect. And same with work. If you're at work and you're always behind on tasks and you don't write things down that you know you have to, you're probably going to benefit from that schedule because it's going to make you more organized and more time sensitive, and you're actually going to be accomplish a lot more instead of just running around trying to remember, hey, did I do this, did I do that, now I can do this.
Yeah, and the power of schedule is so important. It actually keeps you accountable and keeps you on track, and you're dedicating time to these specific things. And a perfect example is our life. We came to Chicago. We needed to handle business. We needed to put time into our business. So we created a schedule. And half the day, from the morning to noon, you could do whatever you want. It's the personal time, right? Go grocery shop, whether it's going to a jiu-jitsu class or boxing. And then from let's just say noon to 5, we're dedicating it strictly to things like this. We're recording. We're looking over things, right? So schedule is very, very important because it's going to keep you on track.
Great. So how do you now, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you could so easily fall into the trap where you write a few things down, or you want to do X, Y, and Z. You're going to go to the gym 3 times a week. But if you don't put it in there, maybe it's like Google Calendar or you have a daily planner. If it's not set there, you're going to prone to falling out of the habit of wanting to do something you want to enjoy.
100%. And then when you're trying to figure out how to do a schedule, the first things you start off with is what is something you enjoy doing in the morning and plan for that. So for example, like in the mornings, I'll wake up at around 9 a.m., sometimes 8 if I'm lucky. And then I usually work out, come back home. I'll be back home from 11 and I'll hang out for an hour till 12. And then I'll go to the office and meet up with Matt and plan our day. So usually I like to start my days off with something that I enjoy doing, just to get motivated to start the day, because I feel like if I first jumped into, let's just say, going over paperwork or going over finances, that's not something that I want to jump out of the bed to do.
Yeah.
I prefer doing something more active, something physical, and that way I mentally prepare myself throughout the day, and I'm physically ready in case Matt calls me, hey, I bought a new sofa, can you come help me lift it? I'm like, for sure, I don't gotta stretch for half an hour because I already just got out the gym, so I'm ready to go. And then that's like where everybody should start, I feel like, because you want to always start your schedule and your day off on a good note. So always do something that you enjoy. If you enjoy eating, maybe have a nice breakfast.
Yeah, very good point. Me personally, morning, I think it's very important for that self-reflection to continue to come, right? Because that's the way you're going to handle schedule. So the morning is always for some meditation, maybe some stretches, right? It's very good to reflect. I like to sometimes plan a day there, or maybe read a little bit, just stimulate the mind. And having some formal physical exercise, maybe the first hour, I personally like it because it just gets me out of my head and puts me into my body. Like, for example, a jiu-jitsu class. I feel great when I get out. I feel very tuned. I feel grounded. I feel centered. which, comes up into a point. I like to do one thing at a time and like to stay focused on things. That's how I'm most productive. And that really puts me into my body.
Yeah, that's interesting. One thing I have noticed is because you know how you're at my place and I said I'm gonna take a nap. I never actually took a nap. I was chilling on the couch and for like 5 minutes I was like, all right, I'm tired, but I really don't feel like napping. So I end up eating food, and I was tired of going into class. But then after class, I like woke up and I was like 4 o'clock. And usually I get tired between like 2 and 4 usually. And what I've noticed that by doing physical activity in between 2 and 4, it kind of breaks that tiredness. I don't
That
feel
crash,
it.
huh?
It does. Yeah, it breaks that crash. I don't feel like doing a physical activity, but for some reason after I do it, even if I half-ass it, I still feel more energized than a cup of coffee or that I did before, which is kind of weird. And I started noticing. So I wonder if that's going to carry over till next week, because today is what, Tuesday. So I noticed that for like the last 4 days that I've done this. So it's I want to see if it's going to carry over or maybe it's like a fluke. But because I never thought about it, because usually I would either get a coffee or take a nap. I never thought of doing physical exercise.
Yeah, and very good point, because let's piggyback off that. So one thing after the RV trip, I stopped really consuming coffee.
Same.
I'll have that Four Sigmatic stuff, which is like the mushroom think stuff. I'll have a little scoop in there. And then, yeah, jiu-jitsu puts me at like this rush of energy where I don't need a coffee at noon. I've been away from coffee for, I want to say, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've had to have a cup of coffee in the morning since the last time we had an RV. I haven't had any kind of coffee in the morning. The only time I've had coffee was when my sister brought it to me at like 4 o'clock, or that one time I went to Starbucks with you, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Fun fact, the reason why I'm kind of trying to cut down on coffee, I read an article, and I don't know if this is factual information, but supposedly caffeine inhibits your intuition, right? So your intuition technically comes from the gut. So maybe caffeine gives you the jitters. Mm-hmm. If you're always anxious, your stomach is a little bit rumbly, coffee, let's just say, gives you the shits or something, that's going to inhibit your intuition. That's the school of thought there. I'm feeling great. I don't know if I'm more intuitive, but we'll see as, the weeks and months progress.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I feel like for you to harness your full intuition, I feel like you have to be in like a state of homeostasis.
Because caffeine's a drug.
It is, right? So maybe it is hindering it in some aspect. That's why drugs, they have their own purpose, but it doesn't serve everything. Like if you want to drink caffeine, then maybe you shouldn't be doing something that requires your intuition. Maybe you should be focusing more on like tasks that just require simple instructions and physical performance. That's why caffeine is good for the gym, because it's not something where you have to be overly cognizant of, but it's still a mental game, but not to the point where you need that intuition. Like in nursing, you need a lot of intuition.
Yes, you do.
And I'm kind of surprised, like nurses drink a lot of coffee.
We do.
So
we just know when shit just happens, because it's like the physical body, and like, yeah, but we do have that like, oh, I knew that's gonna happen, right? Yeah. That some shit's happening.
Right. But the thing is, like does the amount of intuition decrease that the caffeine does? Are you better off just having that decrease, but also that jolt of energy with that coffee? Like, does that jolt of energy compensate for that lack of intuition?
Yeah.
For nurses?
That have to be a research study.
Yeah, I don't think that's probably ever gonna be found out. It's like way too complex.
Yeah, but this is how deep it could go to figure it out. So when it comes to a schedule, also, if you create a great schedule outside of life, that's going to transfer the way you're handling your shift too, right? In work, because technically, essentially, you are creating a schedule at work, especially in the ICU. We kind of plan things out. Like I'm planning on doing my bath then. You already have labs, maybe there's procedures. You kind of do schedule a little bit. So if you're great outside of work, that could transfer inside of work, or vice versa. So I think, just to wrap this up, this habit is great because it'll keep you accountable, and I think you'll be more punctual as a person. And also, people respect you more, because sometimes people get upset when you don't respect their time. That's what it essentially is, when you're late or whatever. So
yeah. And one recommendation I would give, because I'm horrible at scheduling things for myself, and I'm getting better as time goes on. But the most beneficial thing I've noticed is if I plan out my day the night before. Like if I already have some ideas in mind of what I want to do, because some things in your schedule you're going to repeat, so it's not going to really have to, you're not going to really have to be too cognizant of, like brushing your teeth, going to the gym for me because that's a staple. But like tasks that I had to do, like maybe I should grocery shop.
Bothering me.
That's okay. Maybe I should grocery shop. Maybe I gotta pick something up. And then also with the business that we run, I always look at our schedule in Asana, and I already kind of predict on what things I'm gonna work on that day. And so a schedule is a long-term commitment with also short-term commitments in between, because your long-term commitments are going to be your staples, and then your short-term commitments are going to be your task for that day that are going to vary day to day. So if you're really struggling to hop on a good schedule, try to do it the night before. And also, it's always good to probably do it like before bed. That way you're kind of burning up whatever mental I guess strength you have so far. Because sometimes we're in bed and we're just thinking about stuff, right? We're thinking because
we can't relax.
We can't relax because we're so thinking about stuff. A good thing to do is just have your room devoted to sleep. It's gonna go into a sleep topic, but it's good to like plan something out in your head in the living room before bed, and then go to sleep afterwards, because you're going to associate bed with just sleep, and then like your living room with your thought process and your schedule, instead of like bringing your thoughts of what you got to do tomorrow into your bedroom. Your brain is going to, for some reason it works, your brain is going to realize that you're in a bedroom, and this is where that speak ends. And your brain's going to differentiate between where you handle business and where you don't.
Yes,
Same with watching TV. If you don't want to watch TV and you have a TV in your room, the best thing to do is just still watch TV in the living room, and then even if you're staying up late, you're better off still staying up late in your living room and then going to your bedroom to sleep, compared to watching TV in your bedroom and trying to fall asleep at the same time.
Yeah, and this is why when we flew into Chicago, we did things like try to get an office space and dedicate that time to working there. There's just something where you just develop like those episodes about the neuron connections, right? You just tap in. It's so much easier to tap into a state of flow because you're dedicating that. Mm-hmm. And that goes into a lot of habits, which is like almost doing one task at a time. So let's just jump into
one more thing. I'm not thinking about it. You know how, like, if you have say a jaguar, and you're raising a jaguar on your land.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be a car, but then you said raising. I'm like, damn, he's talking about an animal.
Yeah. And you raise a jaguar, and then for some reason, when you release the animal into wild, it's still able to behave the same way. I feel like that's with us handling business as humans. You devote one area. So as a kid, you're already programmed to this. You're already trained. Classroom, learning, teaching.
Right. It's primitive.
There's a desk and a seat. And then you replicate that. What's in a cubicle? A desk and a seat, right? And what's in our office? Desks and seats. So our instinct naturally is, okay, there's desks, seats, and lights here, and now this is where I got to do work. Because a lot of times people have an issue, especially with COVID-19, they have an issue of being efficient at home, because you're doing everything under one roof. Yeah. And your body can differentiate when it should do what, and it overwhelms itself with all these stimulus. And then when people go to the library, it's a nice, calm environment. It's like they're back in high school. This is my time to study. This is my time to read. It's pretty interesting that I thought about.
And this just goes into show that this is how deep self-reflection has to go. You have to be so damn aware of yourself. It even goes into thoughts. If you keep telling yourself shitty things, you're gonna feel that way, because thoughts are transferring into feelings, which is the body. The second habit, though, is do not stay up too late. We've worked night shift for over 4 years. We switched over 2 days. We have been on a regular schedule, and can you tell how amazing you feel?
I feel very amazing.
There's a difference. There's brain fog and everything that's associated. Shout out to all the nurses that work night shift right now that are listening to this. I freaking know your pain. Just stick it out and try to go to days, though, for your own body, because you feel better. And there's just something about the body. And there's almost, I don't have research right now pulled up and all these facts, but, you're inhibiting specific chemicals if you're absorbing light from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m., whatever. Like, it's affecting you. And, the whole circadian rhythm. Just don't stay up too late. Dedicate, let's just say maybe the week, to just have a strict schedule. Go to sleep on consistent schedules, because also sleep inconsistency affects your health too. It affects your HRV and everything else. So try to at least Monday to Friday be like 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. every single day, and stick to that. And the weekends go wild if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah, I think 70 to 75% of people self-report that they don't get enough sleep, or their sleep isn't efficient enough for them to function at their optimal.
Yeah, it's like 1/3 of Americans.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. But to go on like a deeper level, one of the reasons why people stay up late is due to the lack of control over their lives, which if you implement a schedule, you're gonna have more control over it, and you're might naturally see yourself going to sleep at a more optimal time. And why am I bringing this up is because sometimes people overwhelm themselves with things they have to do, and they do these things for somebody else, not truly themselves, and they feel like they can't control any aspect of their lives. Same thing with drug users. They can't control certain aspects of their lives, but what could they control? That drug. Like, I'm putting that drug in my system.
Yeah, it feels
like, yeah,
good.
right, heroin is bad, but no one's giving me heroin. I'm getting the heroin, I'm putting it in my own system. That's their control. And same with sleep. It's just like, hey, my mornings are always me doing tasks for somebody. Afternoons, I'm always, doing other stuff. And you think you don't have this control. So what one thing you control is staying up late. I'm gonna go to bed at whenever I want to go to bed, not when I have to, because I've been doing I have to throughout my whole day. Nighttime is when I do me, and that's people control because you're the ones that are choosing to keep that Netflix running till 1 o'clock a.m.
It really is just a bad relationship with yourself that you have to solve. And those are one of those coping mechanisms is sacrificing sleep. And I'm guilty of it, man, when it comes to not getting enough sleep.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think night shift kind of messes up a little bit too, because sometimes I could for sure if I don't take my ass off the couch and go to my bedroom and turn off all the lights, I could literally stay up all night. I could literally stay up till 4 in the morning easy, just because that 4.5 years of night shift is that built in for me, and day shift is still something new. And same with waking up in the morning. When I was before nursing school, before I became a nurse and doing night shift, I used to easily be able to wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, no problem. Now it sucks.
You just gotta drag yourself, right?
Now I'm happy with 9 a.m. 8:30 is great, but 9 a.m. is usually when I wake up, and that's crazy how just over 4.5 years that already has changed so drastically.
Yeah, there's some neuroplasticity to be done there.
So imagine if you have kids and you teach them bad habits over 16 years of their lives.
Yeah.
Imagine how that's engraved. If that's how deep I got engraved in just 4.5 years.
Right.
And that's when and age from 1 to 16, that's when you're learning and growing the most. Right? Your brain's growing, you're physically growing, and so that's even going to be deeper rooted in. That's why childhood trauma is such a big thing, because that's so hard to get rid of, because you're in that big of a learning process where it messes you up that much.
I think that's the biggest mind effort of my life, is just realizing that the point to life is almost to unlearn to learn.
Yeah.
So you could relearn it. And it's crazy because, our parents raised us the best way possible, and I love them for that. You have to love them for that, because that's the only way they were able to raise you. And sometimes they instilled those bad habits, let's just say having a father that didn't take care of you or something else, or a mother that didn't give you enough love or attention. So now you seek attention in your relationships, and you don't even realize this because you're not self-aware, and you're falling into bad relationships or bad habits from this sense of jealousy, sense of insecurity, whatever it is. Like, it's so deeply unrooted, and that's why, like, self-reflection, meditation, and all the stuff that we preach, it's the process of unlearning to learn. And that's how you truly learn to develop yourself. But it just takes time. And that's why some of these habits are so important that we talk about, because whatever deck of cards you were handed to in life, whether it's the traumas or experiences, it's going to affect your life, where you might be falling back into those pitfalls, right? If you are somebody that, I want to give an example here. I don't want to give bad eating habits because we do it so much, but let's just say it's on this topic of like depression or anxiety. Let's just say your mother was anxious or father and you're prone to that. You have to be consciously aware every single day, because you might not realize it, but your chest is getting tight and your palms are getting sweaty. So you're getting anxious because you're falling back into being unconscious. So yeah, whatever deck of cards you were handed, it just becomes that much harder. So that's why developing habits and sticking to them is so important.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, if you guys,
man, I went in. Let me take a sip here.
What time is this? So we could bring this up in the beginning of the episode to make sure you fast forward to this part.
Yeah,
at least this part. But I'm glad you brought up like an anxious mother and father, because both my parents, they're not anxious at all, and I'm super anxious all the time. But my dad's super calm, and then so is my mom. But like, I'm just anxious. So I don't know if maybe somebody down the line, my lineage, or maybe I just learned it over school.
Yeah,
or maybe,
it could be learned, and it's what it is mentally, you're able to like kind of calm yourself and you meditate. but it's like your body that's kicking this freaking habit back up, dude. It's like, it's weird. It's almost like a freaking dynamic possession, if you want to go that deep, where it's like your body just, oh, I want to be anxious. It loves it because it loves that pain, even though it's not good for it. It's just what it's used to, you know.
Yeah. And that's like my baseline, so I have to like relax myself to get out of that. And it's I mean it's been getting better over time, I could say, but sometimes it's just like I don't always catch myself, and I'm just like, damn, I'm anxious as fuck right now. Let me just calm down,
Right.
over like no reason.
And you just got to take that. That's why it's so important. Like that Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about, is taking that breath, because you want to calm down that sympathetic nervous system that's just so used to just firing all the time, because it's just years of programming, man.
Yeah.
And I get it. You could get it with little things, just like how we talked about having like that speech issue where second language, and sometimes you could like stutter, get like tripped up, like metoprolol or something. It's crazy where that gets hindered because of second language and all that.
Yeah.
So let's go into the next one. So this third habit to incorporate into your life is learn a single task at a time. Focus on one thing and just be persistent to that. Finish that, move on. There's just something when you have a focus. We're just meant to be programmed that way. That whole multitasking thing is, I feel like, essentially a myth.
Yeah, only 2.5% of people can actually multitask. Elon Musk can multitask. I can't multitask very efficiently. That's why there's people out there, and I'm not saying that if you can't multitask, you're not be successful. I'm saying that there's crazy people out there that are able to multitask, and there's only 2.5% of them.
Wow.
And I can tell you right now, I'm not one of them, because I noticed that if I do one thing at a time, it's a lot more efficient than doing multiple things at a time. And I guarantee you, Elon Musk at one point wasn't always multitasking. He usually had to focus on one company at a time. The biggest company that he was focused on was PayPal. And he devoted all his attention into PayPal. And he was a giant single task kind of person, but building businesses over time allowed him to be able to understand and become better at multitasking. So you're not just the boulder multitasker, because you're not the 2.5%. It's like the elite.
Yeah, it really does kill your productivity. Mm-hmm. And there's just something about our modern day era with cell phones and everything. Like you sit down behind the computer and you're about to type, and then your mind is like, dude, let me just check this app or something. Like, it just wants to get so damn distracted. And that's the damn hardest part in living in our time. There's just a sensory overload. Our senses are so overloaded, we don't know how to just sit and relax, like our animal instincts. But if you do, you're going to tap into some awesome productivity, and you'll save a lot more time. You're going to get a lot more done, trust me.
Yeah, I'll give an example, like reading a book. Are you more efficient reading a book, one book at a time, or reading two books at a time? Probably one book at a time, because you're going to, things are going to cross, and you're going to relate things between the books that aren't meant to be related, and you're going to get lost, and you're not going to get the full benefit of the book. Luckily, there's audibles and books that you read, and I haven't really found a difference between reading a book versus listening to an audible versus reading a book and listening to audible at the same time, you could say. Not at the same time while reading and listening, but listening to a book in 1 hour and then reading a book the next hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you could try doing that, but you're still doing one thing. It's like try doing two audibles at the same time. It's not gonna be as efficient. But just because it's a different format, your brain processes differently. So you could read a book and do an audible in the same month. You can. But if you're gonna do two audibles, it's gonna start getting messed up, because your body's relying on different senses for its information. And that's where it benefits on.
Yeah.
And same with like multitasking, like trying to do the same thing, like trying to do 4 tasks on a computer is inefficient, because your brain is always exposed to the same stimulus, and it's going to get put together. That's why if you have to multitask, try to use different senses, one for hearing, one for visual. It's a lot harder to do. It's actually really hard to do, because we rely usually multiple senses at the same time, and that's why multitasking is not efficient, because you're relying on all these senses at the same time, and you can't differentiate between different senses, and your brains get super confused.
This is why nursing sucks.
Yeah.
Because we have to multitask. Like this is why nurses have a bunch of alcohol pads and sticky notes all over the place, and we're forgetting shit. We're scrambling around because we're just so damn task heavy. You can't focus on one thing. That patient needs that, but this guy needs pain meds. That guy's oxygen is damn low, and you're just like,
yep. And it's stimulation. The stimulation is always going down. Something always has to get done. And then when you finally get that break, you're like, oh, for sure, I'm done with all my patient care. You got a chart. So what are you doing again? Looking at the computer, which you're using your eyes and you're also hearing those alarms. So it's just like same thing as patient care, right? So it's still the same stimulation. So that's why it's so draining and you just drown in it over time. And it's why you shouldn't multitask.
And that's why you need to take nurse breaks, aka start travel nursing. Guys, hit us up.
California, for real.
Right? No, seriously, man. You it's such a nice time having 3 months off. You could really like recharge yourself, and even this whole self-awareness thing. Like I'm connecting dots so much having some time off, reflecting back and everything.
Yeah.
So the next habit that you should incorporate is listen and be kind. It goes a long way to be empathetic. And this is why you were born with one mouth and two ears, is so you could listen more, right?
Very cheesy, but
Yeah, it's cheesy, but honestly, it helps with your patient care and everything in life. Because how many times are you so stuck in your head where the person says your name, or you're just not listening to the conversation, you're just blanking out and you're just like, damn, what did he say, you know? And you're just not being, you're not being in the present moment. And I think it's like a great exercise to listen, because it helps you focus on the actual conversation, not trying to predict things or what the person's going to say, what maybe you should say, and etc.
Yeah, and you don't understand how much free shit you get for being nice to people. Like, think back at all the times you've been nice that you got free stuff. It's because you were nice. Like, just over the weekend when we were out, I got the 2 free water bottles. And yeah, when man and I party, we drink water, you know. So I just because, you know, I talked to her a few times to when we got water, and we all had a conversation with her, and somehow I just got free water. Yeah. And the same with Starbucks, you know, there's been a few times where
Did you tip her good?
No, I didn't give her anything. I mean, maybe if you want, I gotta check my chase.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, probably did, dude. That's probably why.
Slipped a 20, man. I mean, she's gonna give these bottles for free.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But even like at Starbucks, when I used to go there during nursing school, I used to stay there late. And, you know, I was always nice to everybody, and sometimes I would get like free cake pops and like just free snacks just because, hey, you know, you've been here all day and you're nice, and then just give me free shit, or it's gonna expire next week, so they're just like, hey, we gotta get rid of it, so let's give it to you.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell? So, and just for being nice, and that's it. That's it.
And it's also so rare because so many people don't actually listen. People don't know how to give time to people, and when they do, people are so appreciative. You feel so good because you feel their energy, and it just, you know, if you believe in karma, everything, good energy goes in. I mean, you're going to feel that way, you're expressing, and it's just a ball of good joy, and you're going to be just, and this is what positivity is about, you know? You're giving and you're receiving, just the way the world works.
Especially if you don't see that person very often. Let's just say you go to Starbucks once a week, just, you know, ask somebody, hey, how they're doing, and they tell you, hey, yeah, I've been, you know, it's been good, I'm in school, I'm struggling with chemistry right now. And you're like, oh, I hope you do good. And then, you know, you leave. And next week you come back in and the same person's there. You know, you could ask, hey, how was your chemistry exam? They're going to feel like they're very appreciative because you're like, oh shit, this person knew I had a chemistry exam because I told them before. And that's just how generosity works. And people recognize you for your kindness and they remember who you are.
Yeah. Especially because, you know, this kind of goes into judging, why you shouldn't judge people and listen to their story. You don't know what the person's going through, that situation, you know. Even if you're at the bar, man, let's just say like somebody's just trying to like, just had a bad day and you start trying to start some shit. You know, you did some jiu-jitsu, you could probably take them down. Just say, hey, sorry, man. Sorry I bumped into you. Because you don't know what the person's going through. He might be just emotionally lit and he's trying to drink and it's just a bad situation. Yeah. So always, you know, hear people out. Not, you know, another scenario, just like in the hospital, you don't know what this person is going through. Give time to them. And that also builds wisdom, you know. If you actually listen to people, you can learn so much from them. But often enough, we don't listen. Like the older people, I love talking to them, man. If I have time, I always kind of pull up a chair, sit down, try to get to know them, ask them these deep questions like, what's one advice you should, you know, that you learned that you wish you learned earlier or something. It's like, if you ask that throughout the week and you work as a nurse, imagine how much wisdom you gain.
Yeah, which falls nicely into point number 5, always try to learn. And this, like at work, every time there's something new going on, I always try to check it out. Even if it's while travel nursing, like how to do an A-line. Like I've done an A-line for 4.5 years, but let me just check it out anyways because maybe they do it differently here.
Different physicians.
Exactly. You know, and then different protocol. So always try to do that. And the best example is at work. Yeah, I know you have to chart and you're busy, but still try to at least learn a little bit every time because there's going to be a point where you're going to need to help with the chest tube and even though you had a chance to look at it 5 times, you didn't take the opportunity, and now you don't really know how to do a chest tube, things like that. And that goes with outside of work as well. Matt mentioned the question that he always asks: what's some advice that you can give to me that you wish you would have known? That's an amazing question to always ask somebody older than you, because they always have something crazy and always something interesting to tell you.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes they joke about it. Hey, don't get married, travel more, things like that. But usually it stumps them a little bit because they actually think about it. They actually think about it. It's not a question that people get asked often, and they always have to take some time to think about it. And that's the beauty of it, because you're learning, but they're also learning about themselves. And it's a double learn times 2. So it's like double the energy, bro.
Yeah, that's deep, man. That's deep. And also when it comes to learning, you're going to feel like fear sometimes in life. And I think you should lean more into that fear, because that's going to learn and teach you so much more. Whether it's, perfect example, like 4th of July, man, we went to like an awesome party, and it was just like, we learned so much from that. And it could be the smallest things. Maybe sometimes it's like you get nervous going on a date because it's a new experience, and you might cancel if you're a chick, and like, I just feel uncomfortable. And then you like think about that event, like, oh, why'd you not want to do this? Or why'd you cancel? Or why'd you not commit to it? What's really deep inside that's not letting you do that? Did you really just reject them or cancel on them? Or were you afraid to speak with them? Like really tap into that fear. And that's that not being comfortable, right? That's that uncomfort zone. And that's where you really learn. And that's the experience. That's the beauty of life. You're always going to keep learning. And if you don't, you're going to start stagnating. And nature doesn't operate like that, right? There's seasons, things die, grow, they get reabsorbed, right? Cycle of life. Same thing in life. If you're going to stagnate, that damn karma's going to be kicking you in the ass. There's going to be events happening in your life to help you learn and get over this hump in your life. And if you don't,
life's going to suck.
Life's going to suck.
I think after tuning in, we just gave you 5 awesome habits to incorporate into your life and your work life for a better work-life balance.
Exactly. Hope you guys liked this episode. I think it went pretty deep.
For
Talk
sure.
about some awesome topics. Take care, guys. Have a great one.
See you.